Hey y'all, what's up? I just got home and wow, I blow my own mind sometimes. Like, honestly, there's been so much going on within myself, but just connecting to the dots to so many things. And so, why I'm recording this video, why I'm saying what I'm about to say, is because it's super important. It's super needed to say. I mean, it's technically been talked about in a sense, but this is my perception. This is my version. This is my understanding of all of this. So, as some of you may know, I grew up in the church. I grew up religious, Seventh-day Adventist to be exact. Used to call myself a Christian. All these things, right? And so now that there's so much information out in the world due to YouTube, due to books, due to so many things, right? Due to other people being able to do research and understand from a different perspective, different point of view, and just learning so much knowledge, not just with all this research and understanding throughout the world, but within myself as well too. You know, I've had to do a lot of work for myself to really understand why these things, why does this make sense to me? And that was religion for the biggest time of my life. Growing up, you know, understanding that certain things were sins, understanding that if I, you know, didn't confess, if I didn't get baptized, if I didn't do all these things, I would be going to hell, right? And then now coming to understand within the church that they've been lying to us this whole time. And I don't blame anybody, you know, I don't want to call anybody out or anything. But at the end of the day, it's our choice to be aware of these things, rise up and speak about it, right? Rise up and say something. And some of these people knew exactly what was going on, knew all these little details, yet they didn't say a word. And what I'm talking about is these churches, these religions, you know, they've been taught, they've been conditioned to believe that you have to do this, you have to do that, taking people's money, right? And I understood this. I always questioned this. I don't know what that was. I always question this, right? Even with studying with different religions, because growing up Seventh-day Adventist, I didn't understand it growing up. But when I started going to other churches, I went back to the Seventh-day Adventist church. I studied with Jehovah's Witnesses. I started with the Mormons. I went to Baptist church. I went to a lot of churches because I felt so lost within myself. And I thought the church, I thought these people, I thought God, all these things were supposed to heal me and help me and make me feel better. At the end of the day, you know, there's so much more to it, obviously, right? Because I do believe in a divine power. I believe there's so much more than we realize. Even the whole fact that government's talking about aliens, it's all connected, y'all. If you don't see it, it's okay. Because we've been so conditioned. We've been so put down, used, tortured to believe these things generation after generation. I mean, we look at our trauma, right? Our trauma is not just from this lifetime, from our lifetime, but multiple other lifetimes, from our mother, our grandmother, our father, our grandfather. It's passed down to us from generation through our DNA. And so if you look at that, if you look at the trauma that's passed down to us, and then you look at the fact that, you know, due to healing, due to releasing, unblocking, right? All these things within our bodies to help us heal and live our best fucking life is connected to these sources. And if you didn't grow up religious, you may be around people that were religious. You may understand this even more in a sense. Because there is some people that grew up atheist. But to me, that means you still believe in something. You just haven't really figured it out yet. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So I share this message with love and compassion because we all have a certain perception of reality. We all have a certain way of doing things. And it seems like the world, it seems like people want to judge each other for all these different things that they've done, their past, their present, their future, all these things, right? Yet we need to stop judging each other and look at the fact that this world, there's certain powers in place, certain people in place that see all this, know certain things, and there's certain people that know this too and are trying to do their best to, understand what's going on, but also, do it in their own way, right? And so for me, just as understanding a lot of different traumas, a lot of different, beliefs and understandings and perceptions of reality, I feel like it is a part of my job to spread a message to whoever. And I want to say the world, because wherever you are in the world, this is for you if you're watching it or listening to it. We've been put in certain places for a reason. We've come into this reality, this lifetime for a reason. And it saddens me that, and a lot of people know this or see this, they may not understand it from a bigger point of view how I do. But like, for instance, certain Christians, certain people that are in the religious aspect, they'll go out, share the news of Jesus Christ and talk about how, you need to be saved, you need to be healed. And in a sense, you feel this pull towards them, right? This energy or something. And it may not be towards them, but you just feel something. And I always noticed this, but I didn't recognize it until now. There's a certain way, a certain power within this that's connected to a bigger power, right? And what I mean by that is we look at the Vatican, we look at the Pope, we look at, the Catholic Church. We look at, the government, we look at the presidency, we look at all these other aspects, right? It's all connected. But the little guys, the Christians, the people within the church, the small churches, all around the whole fucking world, they hold some of this power in a sense, right? Because they believe in this belief. They believe that if you're for the world, if you're doing these things, then you're going to burn in hell for the rest of your life, or whatever the story is. I'm not going to quote it or go into that. The point I'm trying to make is, I realize that it's this energy, because we're all energy. We're all made up of this certain energy. And it's this energy that's kind of annoying, and it's like, it makes you want to question certain things, yet at the same time, you're already aware of what's going on, especially with certain churches, where for me, in my experience, I love talking to people. I love educating myself. I love learning about their belief, because even though they're with this church, they may have this similar belief, but understand it and perceive it in a different way, right? And so for me, I'm always trying to learn people's perspectives and understand why they believe what they believe. And not just challenge them, but open their mind to other things. Okay, well, you've been taught this your whole entire life. Haven't you gone off and learned something else besides just this? Because I believe if you only teach yourself one thing your whole entire life, that's a closed mindset. That's somebody that doesn't want to open themselves up to the world. That's someone that holds on to that fear and stays within that fear, instead of, breaking down them walls and exploring what's outside of those walls, because it could be so much better than you realize, than you really understand. And so a lot of these people that I've communicated with, they've been taught over generations, over their whole entire life, that this is what the truth is, and every other truth is a lie. Yet then why are there so many truths? I ask myself this. Why are there so many truths? Why are, even with the chosen, the 144,000, I didn't understand that. And how I came about that was through the Jehovah's Witnesses. I did Bible study with them. Great people. Like I said, this is not like a calling out anybody or bashing anybody. It's the fact that we all of us, human beings, have been conditioned to believe over generation after generation of time that these are the certain truths. Things have changed over time too. I talk about it in some of my other videos. So I'm not just on YouTube, I'm also on TikTok as well. But the point is, somebody has to know. Somebody has to take over this power. Somebody has to come onto this power and understand every little detail and why this is happening. Why are we being controlled? Why are we all of this? It all has to do with the matrix. It all has to do with numerology, astrology, manifestation, the energies. All these things connect like a fucking pyramid, yo. And it's awakening a lot of us to a certain point. But yet there's some of us that are so heightened, so much more heightened to understand even a bigger point. We're so aware of not just one thing, not just like the witchcraft and the witch trials and all that, but we're also understanding of the biblical side of it. We're also understanding the government side of it. We're also understanding the whole demonic side of it. We're also understanding so much more and how it all connects. You look at Christmas, you look at the holidays, you look at all these things that were taught to us in a certain way to be all merrily and happy and love and light, when a lot of that comes from darkness, from tragedy, from some horrific shit, y'all. I mean, don't just take my word of it. Go look at all this history. Mythology, Greek mythology, ancient Egyptian religion, all these things. I don't even consider Greek mythology. I don't consider any of this a myth. I believe all this stuff was happening simultaneously in some sense. We all were living in a certain reality. We all were understanding this a certain way. That's why I'm talking about certain levels. Some of us are at a heightened level. So if you look at the 144, the chosen, a lot of them call themselves Heyoka empaths. I consider myself an Heyoka empath. Now, I listen here and there to certain chosen messages, certain things like that. And I understand it from a certain point of view. Yet I still know there's something more to than just this 144,000. Just this chosen, these light workers, these earth angels. I mean, we gotta look at the aliens. We gotta look at all these other supposedly mythical creatures, fairies, right? I believe I'm connected to all of them. And call me crazy, call me insane, call me weird, but you even gotta look at those weird words. Back in the day, they called people that were gay, that were into the same sex, they called them crazy. Okay? Over history, over time. You look at the word insane, it's doing the same thing over and over again. Most of y'all go into a job over and over again for years on end. Even that right there, that was part of my awakening, and I didn't even realize it. I worked at a certain job where the majority of the people had worked there for over 10 years. I only had been working there for 10 months. I was like, I cannot do this for 10 years. What the fuck? I didn't realize at the time that it was just my higher mind saying, yo, you don't have to work here for 10 years. There's so much more for you to come. Just keep going. A lot of people don't know my story. A lot of people don't know the life I've lived and why I understand how I understand, and that's okay. That's not for everybody to understand. Most people won't understand. The point I want people to understand is, look at your fucking life right now. Sorry. I didn't mean to come at people like that, but listen, this means so much to me. This is a passionate thing for me because I know what I went through. And it hurts. It hurts me to think that other people have to go through this. It hurts me to know that there is so much corruption within the church. I was introduced to porn at the age of 16 from a church member. And that I didn't understand as a kid. You don't understand that as a kid. It fucks you up mentally. Until you realize why it happened. Until you realize you connect the dots. And so many other things. My dad was murdered due to the fact that he was supposedly molesting children. He grew up in the Catholic Church and he was molested himself. And so if that doesn't get you to really think about the connection or really think about anything in a sense, to understand that it may not be the people in your church that are fucked up or, evil or whatever you want to call it, but it's the connection to the church. If you understand spirituality, there's the side of that that's fucked up too, that people are utilizing, because there is so many truths within all of this. It just depends on how you utilize it, how you utilize your power. Because you can utilize the power for evil to control people. You look at all these fucking movies, the villain and the good guy. Who is really the good guy in this story? And this is just to open your mind, to really think about what you believe in. This is not to scare you, but in a sense, if you're scared, it makes sense. It makes sense and it's okay, because this shit is scary. Especially the fact that I'm not just the only one talking about it. It's all around the world. There's people literally understanding more about the ancient Egyptians, more about all these different, beliefs with Buddhism, with religion is the big one, Jesus Christ. The fact that they portray him as a white man, but he lived in the Middle East. Even myself, I'm guilty of believing some of these things. But yet it still didn't stick. I still questioned it. I still asked questions. And a lot of times I was shut down. A lot of times I was told I was wrong. A lot of times I was looked at as the bad guy. And that's kind of what happens in the story. The people that actually know the truth and try to stand up and say something because they actually have that heart, they actually give a fuck about other people besides themselves, they're the ones labeled crazy. They're the ones labeled insane. They're the ones labeled corrupt. And I'm not talking about everyone. I'm just saying it's a possibility. I've even worked with people with intellectual disabilities as a caregiver. And you have to look at that history. How they used to throw people away that had autism, that had cerebral palsy, that had Tourette's, that had all these disabilities, right? They just told their parents that they're not going to live an abundant, beautiful life, so just keep them here locked up forever for the rest of their lives. Yet they did not take care of them. They did not do shit for them. They just allowed them to die off. And that's insane. That's sad. That's fucked up, right? You can look at all these different stories and how they connect. At least that's what I do. That's how I perceive a lot of this. And that's how I understand a lot of things from a certain point of view. Because I've been through a lot of shit. We look at the fact of sexual assault and rape. They used to say it was the women's fault. Some people still do. Say it's the women's fault because they were wearing inappropriate clothing, because they were drunk, because they were this, because they were that. How is it our fault? How is it our fault that a man just decides to get into his lustful feelings, violent feelings, and just come after a woman because, oh, she's dressed that way, so I can't control myself? You get the point? Right. I don't want to go into too much detail about all these little things. The message I really just want to relay to all and everyone that watches this video, that listens, is to really look at your life right now and really ask yourself, is this where I'm meant to be in life? Why am I struggling with myself? Especially if you're struggling with depression, anxiety, with hope, with, whatever, like stuff that's holding you back, that you feel is holding you back. Because for me, it wasn't just about religion. It wasn't just about my trauma. It all connected, yes, but it was the fact that I wanted to live a beautiful life. I didn't want to feel like I had to suffer for the rest of my life. I didn't want to believe that I was going to stay broke and had to live paycheck to paycheck. I used to work 18 hours every day as a caregiver, and it would mentally fuck me up. I loved giving back, I loved helping, but I wasn't doing anything for myself. And there's a lot of times we live in a world where we believe being selfish is a bad thing, but it's not. I'm happier than I've ever been, and I'm able to share this message and talk about these things because I focused on myself. I focused on my growth, my spiritual, my physical, my emotional, my intellectual. Like, I always was a fighter. I always was that person that loved and wanted to give back. Yet I was overbearing myself for everybody else. Narcissistic people that just were like, didn't know how to help themselves. Certain things like that. And I had to realize, okay, how can I be good to myself, love myself, but also give back to others? Society, the world, the church, the government, all these things. It's right in front of our faces, y'all. It's right in front of our faces. Some of them want you to believe that you can't do certain things, that money is bad, that you are bad because you made a mistake or because you went out and did something that you actually regret. There's people that are out doing horrific things right now, and they're laughing about it and they don't really care. Because, well, first of all, it's a Libra season and they're going to get their fucking karma. But at the end of the day, look at it as a game, right? Look at it as you're in this video game, you're in this movie, and you're on this wild fucking adventure. And you can call it the Hallmark show, you can have it as the horror show, you can have the theme as whatever you want. You can have it as the never-ending story, because that's my story. I feel, anything is fucking possible in this game, anything. But you're the warrior, you're the main character, you're the chosen one, you're the one that steps forward and owns your power, owns your truth with love, with compassion, with strength, with courage. And you just keep moving forward. Progress, the wheel keeps turning in your favor. And you continue to believe that. Even if you kind of get off balance a little bit, you always come back. You always center. You always align back. And then you just continue to move forward. Even if there is some obstacles or many obstacles in your way, you're ready for the challenge. You're ready for the fight. Because you are becoming the better version of yourselves. Every challenge, every obstacle. especially when you overcome that. And that's the point I want to make today, y'all. We all have challenges that come in our way, obstacles. We all have these things thrown at us, slap us in the face to wake us the fuck up to realize something within our life needs to change. So embrace that change. You may not love it, but embrace it, because who knows, over that mountain, over that hill, over that fucking volcano, there may be something way, way, way better than you even realize from where you're at now. So take the leap. Take that leap and take it easy, yo. I'm here for you and I'm rooting you on. I got you. Sending you all the good energy possible. Because I get it. I've been there too. Love you.